Picture this: you're standing in line at a convenience store, watching someone ahead of you buy their weekly lottery ticket. They clutch those numbers like they hold the key to their entire future. They've got their ritual down to a science. The same numbers, the same day of the week, the same hopeful expression as they hand over their hard-earned money. You can almost feel the desperation mixed with hope radiating from them. And then you see them walk to their car, probably already fantasizing about what they'll do when they win. Quit their job, buy a house, travel the world. For a brief moment, those numbers represent pure possibility, a complete escape from their current reality. Sound familiar? We've all been there in some form or another, waiting for that magical moment when luck finally finds us. Whether it's endlessly scrolling through job postings at 2 a.m., swiping through dating apps hoping for the one, or refreshing social media, waiting for that viral breakthrough. We're all guilty of it. But it goes deeper than obvious examples. We wait for our boss to notice our hard work. We hope someone will finally validate our choices. We expect the market, the economy, or technology to solve our problems for us. But here's what's fascinating about this whole dynamic. We've created an entire culture around external dependency, and most of us don't even realize we're participating in it. Listen to the conversations around you this week. If only I could catch a break. When my number comes up, maybe someday I'll get lucky. I'm just waiting for the right opportunity. We've literally programmed our language, and therefore our thinking, around the idea that good things happen to us, not through us. This shows up everywhere. We wait for permission to start that business. We wait for someone to ask us out instead of making the first move. We wait for the right time to pursue our dreams, as if there's some cosmic calendar that will suddenly declare it's our turn. We even wait for motivation to strike us like lightning, instead of creating it ourselves. And here's the psychology behind why this feels so comfortable. It's actually safer to believe that our success depends on external factors. Think about it. If your dreams require luck, then failure isn't really your fault. You just had bad luck. If success depends on other people recognizing your value, then you never have to risk putting yourself out there fully. If everything good requires perfect circumstances, then you have a built-in excuse for why things haven't worked out yet. But what if I told you that the most powerful lottery ticket you'll ever need isn't sold at any store? What if the greatest manifestation tool in existence is sitting right between your ears, waiting to be activated? What if everything you've been waiting for is actually within your control right now? Today we're diving deep into why your imagination isn't just daydreaming, it's the ultimate reality-shaping force you've been overlooking your entire life. And by the end of this video, you'll understand exactly how to harness this power and stop depending on external luck forever. Let's be honest about something that might make you uncomfortable. We live in a culture absolutely obsessed with shortcuts, quick fixes, and external salvation. The lottery is just the most obvious example, but this mentality runs so much deeper than we realize. Think about the language we use every day. When my ship comes in, if I could just catch a break. I'm waiting for my big break. Maybe someday I'll get lucky. Do you hear it? We've literally programmed ourselves to believe that our dreams depend on forces outside our control. This isn't just about gambling, though the psychology is remarkably similar. How often do you find yourself waiting for the perfect opportunity to fall into your lap, for someone else to recognize your potential, for circumstances to magically align? We scroll through social media, seeing others' highlight reels, wondering when it'll be our turn. We apply for jobs, hoping someone will finally see our worth. We wait for the market to shift, for the economy to improve, for our industry to change, for our boss to appreciate us. But here's what's really happening on a psychological level, and this is crucial to understand. This external focus creates what I call the dependency trap. When we're constantly looking outward for validation and opportunity, we become blind to the incredible power we already possess. We hand over our agency, our ability to create change, to chance, to other people, to circumstances, to anything except ourselves. And here's the kicker, we actually get addicted to this powerlessness. Why? Because it's safe. If our success depends on luck, then failure isn't really our fault. If our dreams require external validation, then we never have to face the terrifying possibility that we might actually be capable of creating them ourselves. This creates what researchers call learned helplessness, a psychological state where we stop believing in our own ability to influence outcomes, even when we absolutely have that ability. We become so conditioned to waiting for external forces that we literally forget how to be the driving force in our own lives. And the cruel irony, while we're busy buying literal and metaphorical lottery tickets, we're missing the fact that we already have access to the most sophisticated reality creation technology ever developed. And unlike external luck, this technology is available to you 24/7, responds immediately to your input, and gets more powerful the more you use it. Now, before you roll your eyes thinking this is some new age mysticism, let me ground this in hard science. Your brain is literally designed to turn imagination into reality. This isn't metaphysics, it's neuroscience, and the research is absolutely fascinating. When you visualize something vividly, your brain doesn't distinguish between what you're imagining and what you're actually experiencing. Think about that for a moment. If you close your eyes right now and imagine biting into a fresh, juicy lemon, really see it, smell it, feel the texture, your mouth will start producing saliva. Your brain is treating that imaginary lemon as if it's real. But here's where this gets really interesting. There's actually a measurable difference in brain activity between people who imagine scenarios passively versus those who visualize actively and systematically. When researchers put experienced visualizers in MRI machines and asked them to imagine performing specific tasks, their brains lit up in almost identical patterns to when they were actually performing those tasks. We're talking about the motor cortex firing as if muscles were moving, the auditory cortex responding as if sounds were being heard, the emotional centers activating as if experiences were really happening. This isn't just interesting, it's revolutionary. It means your brain is constantly being programmed by your imagination, whether you're doing it intentionally or not. And here's something that might surprise you. This technology isn't new. Ancient Greek and Roman athletes used mental rehearsal techniques over 2,000 years ago. What's new is our scientific understanding of why it works so powerfully. But let me share with you some modern examples that demonstrate just how precise this process can be. There's a famous study where researchers divided basketball players into 3 groups. One group practiced free throws physically for an hour every day. One group did no practice at all. The third group spent an hour each day visualizing perfect free throws in vivid detail, the weight of the ball, the arc of the shot, the sound of the net, the feeling of success. After 30 days, the group that practiced physically improved their free throw percentage by 24%. The group that did no practice showed no improvement. But here's the kicker. The group that only visualized improved by 23%, almost identical to the physical practice group. They literally rewired their brains and improved their physical performance without ever touching a basketball. Professional athletes have known this secret for decades, and they've turned it into a competitive advantage. Michael Jordan didn't just practice his shots on the court. He spent hours mentally rehearsing every detail of his performance. He'd visualize the crowd, the pressure, the specific movements, the ball leaving his hands, the perfect swish of the net. By game time, his brain had already experienced success hundreds of times. Olympic swimmers like Michael Phelps visualize every stroke, every turn, every breath before they ever touch the water. Tennis players like Serena Williams mentally rehearse their serves until they can feel the racket in their hands and hear the ball hitting the sweet spot. These aren't feel-good exercises. They're performance-enhancing techniques backed by decades of sports psychology research. But here's where it gets really interesting, and this is where most people miss the connection to their everyday lives. There's something called the Reticular Activating System, your brain's filtering mechanism. Right now, as you're watching this video, there are literally millions of pieces of information competing for your attention. Sounds in your environment, visual stimuli, physical sensations, thoughts, memories, but you only consciously process a tiny fraction of them. Your ass is like a bouncer at an exclusive club, deciding what gets through to your conscious awareness based on what you've programmed it to notice. And here's the incredible part, you can consciously reprogram this system. Ever notice how when you're thinking about buying a particular car, you suddenly see it everywhere? That's your RAS at work. It's not that there are more of those cars on the road, you've just trained your brain to notice them. Or maybe you learn a new word, and then you hear it 3 times in the next week. Same principle. This same system that filters your perception of cars, words, and coincidences can be trained to filter for opportunities, solutions, connections, and resources that align with your goals. When you consistently visualize a specific outcome, your RAS starts scanning your environment for anything that might help you achieve it. But here's what makes this even more powerful. Your RAS doesn't just help you notice things, it influences your behavior. When your brain is primed to look for opportunities in a specific area, you unconsciously start making choices that move you in that direction. You speak up in meetings when relevant topics come up. You attend events where you might meet the right people. You take courses that develop relevant skills. You don't even realize you're doing it. Your subconscious is guiding you toward your visualized reality. So how do we move beyond passive daydreaming into active manifestation? This is where most people get it wrong. They think visualization means staring at a vision board for a few minutes and hoping for the best, or they do some vague positive thinking without any real structure or intention. But real manifestation is far more sophisticated and systematic. First, we need to understand that effective visualization isn't just seeing, it's experiencing. Most people visualize like they're watching a movie of their life, but that's not how your brain learns best. Your brain learns through immersion, through full sensory experience. When you imagine your ideal future, you need to engage all your senses, not just your visual cortex. What does success feel like in your body? Is there a sense of lightness, confidence, energy? What sounds surround your achievement? Are there conversations, music, the hum of activity? What about smells and tastes? Maybe it's the smell of fresh coffee in your new office, or the taste of champagne at your celebration dinner. Here's a practical exercise that will change everything. Instead of just seeing yourself in your dream job, imagine the weight of the door handle as you walk into your office. Feel the texture of the business cards in your pocket. Hear the specific conversations you'll have with colleagues, not just generic good job comments, but actual detailed dialogue. Notice the temperature of the room, the quality of light coming through the windows, the sound your shoes make on the floor. The more sensory details you include, the more real it becomes to your brain. And when something feels real to your brain, your behavior automatically starts aligning with that reality. But it goes deeper than just sensory imagination. You need emotional resonance. Your brain is wired to remember and pursue things that carry strong emotional significance. Emotions are like rocket fuel for manifestation. When you visualize, don't just see the outcome. Feel the pride swelling in your chest, the gratitude filling your heart, the excitement coursing through your veins, the deep sense of accomplishment and fulfillment. Let me give you a specific technique I call future memory creation. Instead of visualizing something you want to happen, visualize it as if it's already happened and you're looking back on it with gratitude. Imagine yourself 6 months from now, having already achieved your goal, and you're telling a friend about how amazing it feels. What would you say? How would your body language change? What details would you share? And here's the key most people miss. Specificity matters more than you think. Instead of imagining being successful, imagine the specific conversation where you negotiate your ideal salary. What words do you use? How do you sit? What does your voice sound like? Instead of visualizing finding love, imagine the specific moment when you realize you've met your person. Where are you? What are you wearing? What makes you realize this is the one? The more detailed and specific your imagination, the clearer the roadmap becomes for your subconscious mind. Vague goals create vague results. Specific, detailed visions create specific, actionable pathways. Here's another advanced technique: timeline visualization. Don't just imagine the end result. Imagine the entire journey. See yourself taking the steps, overcoming the challenges, celebrating the small wins along the way. This prepares your mind for the actual process of achieving your goal, not just the final outcome. When challenges arise in real life, your brain already has a framework for dealing with them because you've mentally rehearsed the journey. Here's another advanced technique that most people never learn: obstacle visualization. This sounds counterintuitive, but it's incredibly powerful. Instead of only visualizing success, you also visualize potential challenges and see yourself overcoming them gracefully. For example, if you're visualizing a job interview, don't just imagine it going perfectly. Also imagine a difficult question being asked, and see yourself pausing confidently, gathering your thoughts, and giving a thoughtful response. Visualize technical difficulties, and see yourself handling them with humor and flexibility. This prepares your nervous system for real-world variables, instead of creating unrealistic expectations. There's also something I call identity visualization. Instead of just seeing yourself achieving goals, visualize yourself becoming the type of person who naturally achieves those goals. What does that person think about when they wake up? How do they carry themselves? What decisions do they make differently? How do they spend their free time? What books do they read? What conversations do they have? This is more powerful than goal visualization because it creates systemic change in your behavior patterns, not just pursuit of specific outcomes. And here's a technique that combines visualization with real-world training: progressive immersion. Start by visualizing for 10 minutes, then immediately take one small real-world action toward your goal. The next day, visualize for 12 minutes, then take a slightly bigger action. Keep escalating both the mental rehearsal and the physical practice. This creates a powerful feedback loop between imagination and reality that accelerates your progress exponentially. Now, let's address the elephant in the room, the part that nobody wants to talk about, but absolutely determines your success. Why doesn't this work for everyone? Why do some people visualize intensely, follow all the techniques, but still struggle to see results? The answer lies in what I call the inner saboteur, those deep-seated limiting beliefs that operate like background programs on your computer, quietly undermining everything you're trying to create. These aren't just thoughts. They're entire operating systems that have been running your life, often since childhood. You might be visualizing abundance while simultaneously believing deep down that you don't deserve it. You might be imagining career success while carrying childhood messages that you're not smart enough, that success is for other people, or that money is somehow evil or corrupting. You might be visualizing your ideal relationship while secretly believing you're unlovable, or that good things don't happen to people like you. These limiting beliefs are insidious because they don't always show up as obvious thoughts. Sometimes they manifest as a feeling in your stomach when you visualize success, a subtle sense of "this isn't for me." Sometimes they show up as chronic procrastination, self-sabotage, or finding excuses to avoid taking action toward your goals. Here's how to spot them, and this is a technique that can change your life. Pay attention to the voice that speaks up immediately after you visualize something you want. Really listen. After you imagine your dream scenario, what's the first thing your mind says? Does it go, "Yeah, right. That's impossible for someone like you. You don't have the right connections. That only happens to other people. Who do you think you are?" Those are your limiting beliefs talking, and they need to be addressed directly and systematically. Here's a powerful technique for dealing with them. Write down every limiting belief that comes up during or after visualization. Get them all out of your head and onto paper. Then, for each belief, ask yourself 3 questions. Where did this belief come from? Whose voice does this sound like? What would I achieve if I didn't believe this? But here's where it gets really deep, and this is something most people never address. Your limiting beliefs often have emotional roots that go back to childhood experiences. Maybe you watched your parents struggle financially and absorbed the belief that money is hard to come by. Maybe you were criticized for being too ambitious and internalized that success makes you unlikable. Maybe you were told you were too sensitive and learned to hide your authentic self. These emotional imprints create what psychologists call core limiting beliefs, deep-seated convictions about yourself and the world that feel absolutely true, even when they're objectively false or outdated. And these beliefs will sabotage your manifestation efforts every single time unless you address them at the emotional level, not just the intellectual level. Here's a powerful technique for this. When you identify a limiting belief, don't just try to think your way out of it. Close your eyes and ask yourself, when was the first time I remember feeling this way? Let whatever memory comes up be okay. Then visualize your current adult self going back to comfort that younger version of you. What would you tell them? What do they need to hear? What truth do they need to understand? This isn't just psychological fluff. This is rewiring the emotional associations that drive your unconscious behavior. There's also what I call the proof collection method. Instead of trying to eliminate limiting beliefs through willpower, start collecting evidence that contradicts them. Keep a daily journal of every small success, every compliment, every moment when things go your way. When your limiting beliefs say nothing ever works out for me, you'll have pages of evidence to the contrary. And here's something powerful. Share your limiting beliefs with trusted friends and ask them to point out when they see evidence that contradicts those beliefs. Sometimes we're blind to our own progress and need outside observers to help us see the truth. But here's where many manifestation teachings go dangerously wrong. They stop at the visualization and belief work. They treat imagination like a magic wand, as if the mere act of visualizing will cause reality to bend to your will without any effort on your part. That's not how it works. And teaching people that it does actually sets them up for failure and disillusionment. Imagination is a compass, not a magic wand. It points you in the direction of aligned action. When you visualize consistently and specifically, opportunities don't magically appear out of thin air. You start noticing them because your RAS is primed to look for them. Solutions don't fall from the sky. You start recognizing them when they present themselves. The right people don't randomly show up. You start attracting them through your energy, your actions, and the decisions you make. The key is what I call congruent action. Actions that align with the reality you're visualizing. Every single day, you need to take steps, however small, that move you toward the future you're imagining. If you're visualizing career success, are you actively developing skills, networking strategically, and putting yourself in positions to be seen by the right people? If you're visualizing a loving relationship, are you working on becoming the kind of partner you'd want to attract? Are you putting yourself in situations where you could meet someone? This is where the rubber meets the road, and it's where most people fail. They do the visualization, they work on their beliefs, but then they sit back and wait for results to appear. They don't understand that manifestation is a co-creative process between your imagination and your actions. And here's the part that requires real courage and commitment, staying consistent when you don't see immediate results. Our culture has conditioned us to expect instant gratification. We want to see changes within days or weeks of starting a visualization practice. But real manifestation often works on a different timeline. Sometimes the biggest breakthroughs happen just when you're about to give up. Sometimes what looks like failure is actually redirection towards something better. Sometimes the universe is testing your commitment before delivering what you've asked for. The key is to trust the process and maintain consistent daily practice, even when progress feels invisible. And I want to share something else that happened during that period, because this illustrates a crucial point about how manifestation actually works in the real world. During those months of no progress, I started noticing that I was making different choices without consciously realizing it. I was speaking up more in meetings. I was having different types of conversations with people. I was reading different books, attending different events, even dressing slightly differently. My visualization practice was reprogramming my subconscious behavior patterns, and when the opportunities finally appeared, I was ready in ways I wouldn't have been before. The manifestation wasn't just about attracting external opportunities. It was about becoming the kind of person who could recognize and capitalize on those opportunities when they appeared. This is what I call the invisible foundation period, the time when it looks like nothing is happening externally, but everything is shifting internally. Your confidence is building, your skills are developing, Your network is expanding. Your intuition is sharpening. You're becoming magnetically aligned with your goals in ways you can't even see yet. But here's what's crucial to understand. This process requires what I call faithful consistency, continuing to take aligned action even when you can't see immediate results. Most people give up during the invisible foundation period because they expect linear progress, but manifestation often works more like compound interest, slow at first, then exponential. Think of it like planting a tree. You water it every day, but for months you might not see dramatic growth. But underground, an entire root system is developing that will eventually support massive growth above ground. Your daily visualization and aligned action are building that invisible root system. So let's bring this full circle and really drive home what we've discovered today. We started by talking about that person buying lottery tickets, hoping for external luck to change their life. But now you understand the profound truth. You've been carrying the ultimate lottery ticket with you all along, and unlike every other lottery in existence, this one has a 100% success rate when used correctly. Your imagination isn't just a nice-to-have creative faculty that you use for daydreaming or entertainment. It's the most sophisticated reality-shaping tool ever developed. It's not about mystical manifestation or wishful thinking. It's about understanding how your brain works and leveraging its natural mechanisms to create the life you actually want. Think about what we've covered today. Your brain literally cannot tell the difference between a vividly imagined experience and a real one. Professional athletes have been using this fact to gain competitive advantages for decades. Your reticular activating system can be programmed to filter reality for opportunities, solutions, and connections that align with your goals. And when combined with congruent action and the dismantling of limiting beliefs, this creates an unstoppable force for positive change. But here's what makes this even more powerful than any external lottery. This system gets stronger the more you use it. Traditional lottery tickets are random chance. Your odds don't improve with experience, but your imagination-based manifestation abilities actually compound over time. The more you practice detailed visualization, the better you get at it. The more you identify and overcome limiting beliefs, the fewer obstacles remain in your path. The more aligned actions you take, the more opportunities present themselves. This represents a profound shift in how you approach your entire life, from hope to empowered creation. Instead of waiting for luck to find you, you're actively programming your brain to recognize and create the opportunities that align with your vision. Instead of being at the mercy of external circumstances, you're taking conscious control of the most powerful force in your life, your ability to imagine and then create your future. Let me paint you a picture of what this looks like in practice. Instead of scrolling through job listings hoping something good will appear, you're visualizing your ideal work environment so specifically that you recognize the right opportunity when it presents itself, and you've prepared yourself to seize it. Instead of waiting for someone to discover your talents, you're imagining success so vividly that you naturally start taking the actions that make you visible to the right people. Instead of hoping for a relationship to fall into your lap, you're visualizing the kind of partnership you want so clearly that you become the kind of person who naturally attracts that level of connection. This isn't about positive thinking or hoping for the best. This is about understanding that your imagination is the blueprint for your reality and learning to be intentional about what you're building. But here's something I want to address directly, because I know some of you are thinking this sounds too good to be true. If this really works, why isn't everyone doing it? Why do so many people still struggle? The answer is simple. Because it requires something that most people aren't willing to give: consistent daily practice, emotional courage to face limiting beliefs, and the discipline to take aligned action, even when you don't feel like it. It's easier to buy a lottery ticket and hope for the best than to take full responsibility for creating your own luck. Most people would rather complain about their circumstances than change their thinking patterns. They'd rather blame external factors than examine their own limiting beliefs. They'd rather wait for opportunities than create them. And that's exactly why this approach is so powerful for those who are willing to embrace it. There's no competition. Think about it. While everyone else is waiting for their ship to come in, you're building the harbor. While others are hoping for their big break, you're systematically creating the conditions for multiple breaks to appear. While others are buying lottery tickets, you're developing lottery-winning skills. And here's something that will completely change how you think about luck. People who are consistently lucky aren't actually experiencing more random good fortune than everyone else. They're just better at recognizing and acting on opportunities that others miss. They've trained their brains to notice possibilities where others see obstacles. They've developed the confidence to say yes to opportunities that feel slightly outside their comfort zone. They've built the skills and prepared themselves so thoroughly that when opportunities appear, they're ready to capitalize on them immediately. This is why the most successful people often say they got lucky, but when you examine their stories closely, you realize they created the conditions for that luck to find them. They were visualizing opportunities, preparing for success, and taking consistent action toward their goals long before the lucky break appeared. Your imagination is literally a luck-generating machine. Every time you visualize a positive outcome, you're programming your brain to notice and create the conditions that make that outcome more likely. You're developing the confidence, skills, and mindset that turn possibilities into realities. But here's what makes this approach infinitely more powerful than traditional luck. It's sustainable and repeatable. A lottery win is a one-time event that might actually create more problems than it solves if you're not prepared for it. But when you develop your imagination as a manifestation tool, you're building a skill set that you can use for the rest of your life to create whatever you want. You become someone who doesn't just achieve one goal. You become someone who consistently creates positive outcomes across every area of your life. Career success leads to relationship confidence. Financial abundance creates space for creative expression. Personal growth enhances professional opportunities. Everything starts connecting and amplifying everything else. And here's the most powerful part. This isn't just about achieving specific goals. This is about becoming the kind of person who consistently creates positive outcomes. It's about developing an unshakable confidence in your ability to navigate whatever life throws at you. It's about knowing that no matter what happens, you have the tools to create a meaningful, fulfilling life. Your imagination is the only lottery ticket you'll ever need, because it's not really a lottery at all. It's a guarantee. When you combine vivid, specific visualization with belief work and consistent action, success becomes inevitable. The only question is timing and exactly what form that success will take. But here's the thing, and this is crucial. Knowledge without action is just entertainment. You can watch this video, nod along, maybe even share it with friends and family, but if you don't start implementing these principles today, right now, nothing changes. Your life stays exactly the same, and you remain dependent on external forces for your happiness and success. So here's your call to action, and I want you to treat this like the life-changing moment it could be. Tonight, before you go to sleep, spend at least 15 minutes in detailed visualization. Not vague daydreaming, detailed, specific, multi-sensory visualization that feels like a memory of something that already happened. But here's what I want you to do differently. Instead of just visualizing one goal, I want you to visualize the version of yourself who naturally achieves goals like that. See yourself waking up tomorrow as that person. How do they think differently? What's their morning routine? How do they handle challenges? What decisions do they make differently throughout the day? Then, here's the crucial part. Tomorrow, spend the entire day acting as if you're already that person. Don't wait until you achieve the goal to become the person who achieves goals like that. Become that person now, and let the goal be a natural result of who you're being. Write down any limiting beliefs that come up during this process. Notice the voice that says this is silly, or this won't work for me, or I'm not the type of person who does things like this. Thank that voice for trying to protect you, but don't let it run your life anymore. And here's something I want you to do that will accelerate your progress exponentially. Find one person in your life who you can share this journey with. Not someone who will judge you or try to talk you out of it, but someone who will support your growth and help you stay accountable. Text them tomorrow and tell them what you visualized and what action you took. Having a witness to your commitment dramatically increases your follow-through rate. Also, start a manifestation journal. Every day, write down 3 things: what you visualized, what action you took, and what evidence you noticed that you're moving in the right direction. This creates a record of your progress that you can look back on during challenging times. Your imagination isn't separate from reality. It's the blueprint for reality. It's the architect of your future. It's the most powerful tool you have for creating the life you want. The question isn't whether manifestation works. The question is, are you ready to stop buying external lottery tickets and start using the ultimate manifestation technology you were born with? The power to create your ideal life isn't coming from somewhere else. It's not in the next opportunity, the next relationship, or the next stroke of luck. It's already inside you right now, waiting to be activated. It's been there your entire life, but maybe nobody ever told you how to use it properly. Well, now you know. Your imagination is the only lottery ticket you'll ever need. The question is, are you ready to cash it in? I'm genuinely curious. What version of yourself are you going to step into tonight? What reality are you ready to create? Drop a comment below and describe the person you're visualizing yourself becoming. I read every single comment, and I love celebrating these transformation journeys with you. If this video has shifted something fundamental in how you think about luck, success, and your own power, smash that like button to help more people discover this life-changing information. Subscribe and ring that notification bell, because I'm constantly sharing new techniques and insights that build on everything we talked about today. Your future self will thank you for taking action right now, instead of waiting for the perfect time. And here's a final challenge. Share this video with someone who's been waiting for their big break. Tag them and say, "Stop buying lottery tickets and start using this instead." Sometimes the most powerful thing we can do is plant a seed in someone else's mind that their power has been inside them all along. Remember, your imagination isn't separate from reality. It's the architect of reality. Every successful person, every breakthrough innovation, every positive change in history started as someone's visualization. You have the same technology in your brain that every successful person has ever used. The only difference is whether you choose to activate it intentionally or let it run on autopilot. Your imagination is the only lottery ticket you'll ever need. The question isn't whether you'll use it. You're already using it every day. The question is whether you'll use it consciously to create what you want, or unconsciously to recreate what you've always had. What are you going to choose? This is Best of Lectures YouTube channel. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.